And this is Digital Trends Live, and thank you for joining us. We do appreciate everybody who's with us every day. Hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're watching on. That way you get the notifications when we do go live. And I'm Greg Nibbler here in Portland, Oregon, but this is not our only studio. We can go anywhere, including New York, which is where we're going to be heading right now. We have our editor-in-chief, Jeremy Kaplan, standing by with the CEO of Lantern Pharma to talk about some amazing things they're doing with AI in the field of medical technology. Let's go there right now. Hello, Jeremy.
Hey, Greg, thanks. Good morning to you. Good afternoon, depending on where you are. Yes, indeed. Little thing called AI, perhaps you've heard of it. It's changing the world, every single industry. So we have a fascinating conversation here today. We are joined by Panna Sharma, the CEO of Lantern Pharma. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, good afternoon. Thanks for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity.
AI, right? Fascinating stuff. I don't think people understand exactly how it's impacting every different industry. Maybe you can walk us a little bit through what you guys are up to and where AI fits into that puzzle.
Absolutely. So, as you know, cloud computing and machine learning and availability of data has never been as high as today. And we're really taking machine learning and big data and solving a very specific problem. We're pointing it to a problem that really needs to be solved, which is lowering the cost of creating new, powerful, new precision cancer drugs.
Precision cancer drugs.
Right. So
what does that mean?
So cancer is very, very wide-ranging, and some cancers are called, let's say, lymphoma or breast cancer, a particular cancer, but not everyone responds the same way to that drug. Some people survive for 15, 20 years. Some people, unfortunately, pass away quickly.
Sure.
Trials aren't always as successful as people first thought they would be. And now we know that, in fact, there are really thousands of different diseases that come under these cancers. And so cancer is defined by a genomic signature. That's why some patients respond, some don't. But finding out that and teasing out that genomic signature is a complex, multi-hundred million to billion-dollar problem.
Right.
And so today,
it costs billions for every drug, right?
Almost $2 billion today to create
God.
a cancer drug. So 1.7 to $2 billion to bring a new cancer drug to market. And there have been hundreds of drugs that are really promising but fail. And so at Lantern, the company was started because hundreds of millions of dollars were put into some drugs, and the founders, some were from National Cancer Institute and some were leading edge researchers in small molecule development, said that drug really worked in some patients. Let's find out why.
So it's about which specific patients?
Yeah, and what genetic signature did that patient have? How can we tease that out, and how can we do it rapidly?
Okay.
And how can we do it instead of years? How can we do it now in months? And so we actually now have 2 drugs that are actually in patients that are getting into trials. One with our partner in Europe, Oncology Venture, that is now for metastatic prostate cancer.
Okay.
And it's in a phase 2 trial. And another one that we're expecting to go back into phase 2 or phase 3 that we're rescuing, that's specifically for non-smoking females with lung cancer. So very
much more tailored than
very
just
specific.
the human population.
Yeah. So this drug failed a phase 3 trial, all comers with non-small cell lung cancer. But then when we teased out the data and started looking at the biological mechanism and putting our RADR engine onto it, we're able to understand that really it works most effectively in non-smokers, much more so than smokers, because non-smoking lung cancer is actually a very different cancer. And so today, our engine, is able to ingest tons of data points about drug efficacy, about genomic signatures, about small molecule pathways, and we were able to smash that data and look at it in a supervised way still, to tease out how will that drug work and in what patients and why.
So let me back up a little and make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So you're looking back at the efficacy results from a test to try to tease out exactly where it worked out. You're sort of pouring through that massive data.
And then we generate our own data too. So once we say, hey, this is the potential ideas, we actually do go back to the lab and we generate real world data. And we're actually really pioneering totally new trials, actually. We just launched a trial in the UK with our partner Citric in Northern Ireland, where we're taking prostate tumor from a patient, and they're walking it across the street to the lab, and we're dosing it with our drug, the tumor, ex vivo, outside of the patient's body, to see if that prostate cancer will actually respond. And so that way we can, if that person's tumor progresses after initial therapy, they would be a candidate. And so, this ex vivo trial will help us tease out why do certain prostate cancers respond to the drug, why do they not. And so we're actually making the healthcare system more efficient.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking over my head here. I'm thinking reduce, reuse, recycle, right? You guys are
That's what we're doing.
Efficient company, and that you're taking an old drug that was going to be passed over and saying, well, no, it's actually useful. It's just we were casting much too broad of a net before.
That's right. And that's what happened in cancer care. And so today, through the cancer world, if you look at companies like Loxo that were bought by Eli Lilly, or Ignita that's being bought by Roche, they're creating very, very specific precision drugs, but it still takes hundreds of millions or billions.
Yeah.
So we know that precision drugs can work, and they can work very, very powerfully. But how do we get there faster and cheaper? And that's what Lantern is doing.
So when you talk about precision medicine, are we talking about tailoring drugs specifically for me? Or it sounds like in your instance, you're just trying to find a smaller candidate pool for a specific...
The right candidate pool.
The right candidate pool.
Yeah, and so, let's say unfortunately someone gets lung cancer, there might be 5 or 6 drug choices, but we know that there are dozens of different types of lung cancers. Right. So as we understand more about cancer and we understand more about all the molecules that are being invented and created, how do you combine them to get to that patient population? Okay. And the patient populations will get smaller in time because we're going to understand, okay, it's not just non-smoking and smoking, it's non-smoking because of these reasons with an immune issue or without an immune issue.
Yes.
And that just takes time. And now we're able to, instead of 7 to 10 years, to figure that out, we're able to do it in 2 or 3 years.
But then flash forward to, 20 years down the road, or you tell me how far it is. Is there a path using this type of progression to the place where you can say, here is your specific DNA, here's what your makeup, your history looks like, your susceptibility to certain illnesses, and we can tailor specific medicines directly for you? Are we going down that road, or is that?
Yeah, I think we're chiseling into that. I mean, that's a big.
Well, sure.
Yeah, because you not only have to have the person's DNA, but you also have to know what the tumor's DNA or the cancer's DNA.
Okay.
Because they're typically 2 different systems fighting. Or in many cases, a lot of our fellow researchers are now looking at the microbiome, right, or looking at the immune system. So these are all systems with their own biomarkers and with their own ways of interacting. And so even in patients today, they'll respond really well to certain drugs or a combination therapy, and then 3 years later they'll stop responding. And so, trying to be able to predict that and have the right drug combinations for them available, that's what AI, those are the perfect problems for AI, because they're data problems.
Enormous challenge, but here's the right technology that suddenly has arrived to fix that.
And so, we can spin up, 24, 50, 100 supercomputers in the matter of an afternoon. We couldn't do that 5 years ago.
It would have taken years to do some of that research.
So, this is the perfect problem area.
Well, I keep thinking back to Joe Biden saying he's going to cure cancer if he gets elected president. Is this what's going to get us there? Are we going to actually cure cancer?
Yeah, I think that companies like Lantern, specifically, these kind of approaches are needed because you just can't have enough smart people working hard enough, and machines help us get to those answers. Some right, some wrong. But they help us understand the questions better. They highlight new opportunities.
Yeah.
And we have so much data that's available now globally, and researchers are now collaborating. And so before, you can have a lab and you have your own insular data and you analyze it, and it was painstaking, and you had to go through spreadsheets and SQL databases, and the data guides didn't talk to the biologists. But now it's a new world. The scientists themselves are much more collaborative. They're much more interdisciplinary, and the availability of data is it's ballooning.
Well, it's funny because the internet itself was built in a large part for doing this type of research, right? Getting collaboration between schools, between universities. Maybe we need some different type of internet in order to facilitate sharing of data on this scale, though.
It's already, it's beginning to it's beginning to be made. And so, Lantern, I always like to think of Lantern as a very highly collaborative network. So it's not just our team and our people, but we're working with teams and people all around the U.S. and now hopefully all around the world, because everyone's providing input. We have advisors providing input, institutions providing input, old pharma companies that have their data that are providing input. So it really is, Lantern Pharma in a way is kind of it is a networked company. And my last company that was public, we had a lot of collaborations, but it was still our company connecting and collaborating kind of, in an old school way. And this is, the Lantern approach that we're taking is, I think, really powered by data and AI. And the fact that we're able to ask questions faster and more rapidly and understand the data and understand how it's going to impact our drugs that we're developing and drugs that we're rescuing, it just saves hundreds of millions of dollars in the cost process.
And saves lives too. It's
Saves
just great
lives,
to
yeah.
hear technology doing something good for us rather than just invading our privacy on a daily
Yeah, I mean,
basis.
and I think in many countries, people want to share their personal journey in cancer and their genomic data because they know it's going to benefit the next round of drug development.
Yeah.
And in fact, in one of our trials for prostate cancer, we actually have heard that feedback specifically from patients, saying, "Wow, this is obviously they're looking for a good outcome for themselves, but they're also really excited about sharing their data, hoping that the drug will get out to market faster and help save other lives too."
So we're running out of time, but I have one last question for you. Lantern's focused on oncology, on cancer at present, right? But this sounds like the sort of thing that could very easily scale to other types of diseases.
Yeah, this approach is being taken by some other companies across multiple disease areas, but our focus is cancer, and that's a big enough category.
It's a big one, yeah.
It's so our hope is, it's multi-billion-dollar opportunity.
Well, good. Best wishes and good luck. It's been fascinating talking
Thanks.
with you, Panna
Thank you.
Sharma from Lantern Pharma. And we have lots more intriguing tech just like this coming up, so stick around. We'll be back after this brief message.